YouTube at Pan African Television. You can send in your views, comments, and contributions on a WhatsApp/text line displayed on the screen. We'll make a time and read all those stuff for you. You can as well leave your suggestions, questions, and whatnot on our social media pages. We'll make a time and read all those for you. My name is Justice Apia, and I'm sitting in for my brother Kwame Osudan. So I'll be taking you through the topics we are going to be discussing on the show, and then introduce my guest for this morning's section. And the topics are acquitted Ivory Coast ex-president returns home. Ghanaian Times captured that story, and we are blending that one with Zambia ex-president Kenneth Kaunda dies at 97. He dies at 97. Also, Coco Rhodes, minority accuses government of inflating cost. Politicians abandon Ghana-made mask as billions of cedis flow to China, and unemployment bedevils Ghana's youth. We also have fake results. 2020 WASSCE exams leaked. Well, this whole statement was actually denied by the education minister when the former education minister, who doubles as the 2020 vice presidential candidate for the National Democratic Congress, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, spoke extensively on that matter. They have vehemently denied that allegation. It has come again. Fake results, 2020 WASSCE exams leaked. How true is that? I'll be joined in the studio by Bernard Mona, who, should I say, former chairman of the PNC. Boss, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing, my brother?
By your prayers, I'm very well.
All right, thank you so much for joining. Over in the studio is Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, in person of Comrade Murtala Mohammed. Comrade, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Also in the studio is Protocol Isifu. Idrisu Protocol, sorry. Idrisu Protocol, who is a member of the MPP communications team. Protocol, good morning.
Good morning.
You are looking good. I'll start with you, Bernard, on the African stories. Acquitted Ivory Coast ex-president returns home, and Zambia ex-president Kenneth Kaunda dies at 97.
First, let me salute my younger brothers, Murtala Mohammed. Today, ABA is not here,
yes.
So I take seniority over them. I am reliably informed that Murtala taught protocol in school.
Yeah.
And so it means that I'm ahead of the two of them. Aside that, protocol has been one of the young men that we worked together when he was with me in the PNC until he strayed into the New Patriotic Party.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that as things are not working, he will find his return home. To yourself and to the many others, today is not a very good day, particularly for those of us who come from the Gbewa tradition or roots. Alhaji Kasule Yakubu of Gbewa Petrochemicals Limited and formerly Gbewa Engineering passed somewhere in the United Kingdom, and somehow they managed to bring the corpse. And as we speak, preparations are being made to take the corpse to his homeland, Dagbon, so that they will take the necessary burial services. I am also told that immediately after that, they will do the 3 days Adua in Tamale. And then they will do the 7 days Adua, and the 40th day Adua will be done in Accra. He was one of the people who tried hard to foster the unity of the Nkrumah's political parties. And for the first time that I met him, I didn't know that he had such a huge house in Bedu Street, just in Jowulo here. And I was directed then by the late Sule Garba and others so we can meet over there. And when we got there with Justice Heneku and others to discuss the possibility of the CPP-PNC, fusing so that we can form a third force. He said he was not going to be part of the meeting, so he provided everything that could make our meeting successful. We had Professor Nino Iduna and every one of us. We all met, we strategized. Unfortunately, talk is cheap. We could not materialize it. He's always been an avowed Nkrumahist, and I'm sure that as he joins the ancestors, his place in Dagbang will be remembered.
Very well.
His place in the Nkrumahist tradition will also be remembered. And I just wish the family strength. And I pray and hope that normally when we see great people like this die, there is always struggle for property and what have you within the family, to the neglect of trying to preserve their legacy and what have you. I just hope that the family can fuse together even after he's gone,
right,
so that his memory continue to stay with us. Flowing from that, let me go to Kenneth Kaunda, one of the greatest, who was a student of Kwame Nkrumah. They all learned under the feet of Kwame Nkrumah in order to achieve independence, political independence for our continent. Kenneth Kaunda, Robert Mugabe, Sam Nujoma, Julius Nyerere. No, Julius Nyerere was not that. Yeah. I speak about Samora Machel, great students who came here to come and learn under the feet of Kwame Nkrumah, went back to prosecute the agenda of liberation in their own countries. And I was very privileged, very, very privileged, to have served as the secretary to the Kwame Nkrumah Centenary Planning Committee. We extended invitations to the initial leaders of Africa, Ben Bella, Kaunda, and those who were alive. And Kaunda honored. Ben Bella was too weak at the time to be able to honor the invitation. But we also had the lawyer of Jomo Kenyatta, Dudley Thompson, who also graced the occasion. Abdoulaye Wade and all those people graced the occasion. And I remember when Kenneth Kaunda came to Ghana, and he saw me at the airport to come and welcome him with then Foreign Minister Mohamed Mumuni. And then when he was told that I was the secretary, he said, "Young man, you have troubled us enough, and your troubles alone is enough for us to come and honor Kwame Nkrumah." Because at almost every time I had to be on the neck of the ambassador to ensure that Kenneth Kaunda would come to Ghana. And indeed, when he came to Ghana, he was not disappointing at all. I remember when he mounted the podium, President Mahama was then vice president. And then, as usual, with his traditional white handkerchief, he started jogging onto the stage. At that age, he jogged onto the stage and then started singing and said, "Sons of Africa, rise and shine. Sons of Africa, rise and shine. Sons of Africa, rise and shine. In the name of great Africa, we shall fight and conquer it. Forward, ever, backwards, never. In the name of great Africa, we shall fight and conquer it." You know, so when he sang, and I still remember when he's finished singing, the whole place, John Mahama, vice president then, everybody had to stand up and started, and the whole hall started jeering up. That was the kind of spirit they led that attracted everybody in the struggle for our independence. They were so magnetic in their approach. They spoke out of their hearts and not out of their heads. They were passionate about the issues concerning our Africa. And when he came to Ghana at that time, he still made it a point that he should remind us that Africa was not near Uhuru unless and until we were able to break away the colonial yoke that continued to put us into various villages that we call countries. Today, he's been called to join the ancestors. And my prayer is that when he meets Kwame Nkrumah, when he meets Julius Nyerere, when he meets Jomo Kenyatta, he meets Ben Bella, he'll be able to tell them that he lived long enough to be able to see that the struggles that they left, that current generations of Africa have actually failed the succeeding ones, that they did not live up to the expectations of ensuring that the continent was unified, and that today, majority of Africans have become sweepers under the feet of the Western and Asian countries at a time when Africa was on the rise, and that their spirits should come back and ensure that Africa is completely liberated from the problems that we are going through. So I wish the people of Zambia strength. I wish the family of Kenneth Kaunda strength. Africa has lost one of our heroes, and I just pray and hope that we'll be able to get new or emerging heroes to stand on the ladder and climb and lead us to the top. Ivory Coast and the return of Laurent Gbagbo. You see the theatricals that we are engaging. What was the crime of Laurent Gbagbo? No crime. No crime whatsoever. His crime was that he decided, as always, to stand against the might of France and to ensure that the people of Ivory Coast were properly liberated from the yoke of France. He started nationalizing things. You know, if you go to Ivory Coast, water supply is owned by France. Water to drink is owned by France. As of today, the State House, the presidential villa, is a property of France, and Ivory Coast continue to pay rent to France.
On their own land? On
their own land in their own country, that the presidential villa is not owned by Ivory Coast, it's owned by France. Even after we have taken our independence, we continue to pay rent. As we speak, resources of the Francophone countries, when you do, you have to pay. France is the first option. They will buy whatever you produce, cocoa, whatever you produce. Your resources are reserved in French banks. The French government determines how much of that resources should be released to you for your own development. And so once you have resources with France, France can determine that, okay, of the resources that is there, you only deserve 20% for your economic development and programs. And so the rest is kept there. Telecommunication, RTIs, were owned by France. Laurent Gbagbo started saying that, no, this cannot happen. So in fighting for these things, they decided that they will use one of their conduits, that is Alassane Ouattara, who did not win elections. And you see, our rules are different. In Ivory Coast and like other French-speaking countries, or French-imposed speaking countries, what happened is that after the elections, what the Electoral Commission has garnered must go through what we call the Constitutional Court, which is their Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will then take the elections and validate or invalidate the outcome. They were still waiting for the validation so as to check whether everything went well, because in the strongholds of Alassane Ouattara, elections, the total population of those areas were multiplied by 3 to give election figures. And so there were serious protests. That why? If we have a population of, say, 10,000, and voters in the 10,000 populated area alone is over 30,000, there's something wrong. That led to Alassane Ouattara's victory. And so they were protesting. The Constitutional Court was now to go through and to validate or invalidate. France said that Laurent Gbagbo had lost the elections. They quickly marshaled troops and what have you and went and started bombarding. And when Laurent Gbagbo decided that, look, let's repel the attack on us because we have not done anything wrong, France simply came and imposed a no-fly zone, bombarded until they got to the bunkers of the presidential villa and removed Laurent Gbagbo and quickly arranged that he was charged for crimes against humanity. somebody who was president, who was being attacked, could now suffer bombardment, suffered bombardment, and now is being charged. He did not launch any attack on anybody. You launch attack on me, and now you are charging him. But they did. Africa kept mute. They took him to the International Court of Justice. His lawyers went. They defended him so much that at the end of the day, the court found nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So if Laurent Gbagbo was not responsible for the atrocities that occasioned in Ivory Coast, who is responsible? Because the courts have ruled that he is not responsible and that his men cannot be charged for it. So it means that somebody is responsible. And that person that is responsible is the current president of Ivory Coast. Because all these things were done in order to favor him to win. And so France and everybody supported his call. He was inaugurated and he took President Mills. Remember, when that thing happened, all the Constitutional Court judges fled and they ran to Ghana. He took President Mills because they needed the Constitutional Court to now swear in Alassane Ouattara. So President Mills diplomatically negotiated that, okay, the judges are here. We are giving them protection and what have you. They have reported themselves officially to the state of Ghana. But in order to ensure smoothness in operation in Cote d'Ivoire, the judges must go to Cote d'Ivoire to go and ensure the swearing in of Alassane Ouattara. So they agreed. And President Mills then negotiated that, look, we will carry the judges in Ghanaian planes. They will be under the protection of Ghanaian soldiers. We will bring them when they finish. The judges say they don't want to be in Ivory Coast. Then you allow them to come. That was the compromise. So the judges were flown from Ghana, taken to Cote d'Ivoire, and then sworn in Alassane Ouattara to allow him to be a legitimate president. The courts ruled that Gbagbo was free of all the accusations, but they would not allow him to come to Ivory Coast. So once he was released, they rather compelled him to go to Belgium because elections were on, and France had determined that if Laurent Gbagbo had returned, he will qualify to contest the elections. And therefore, they did not want him to come and contest the elections. They had to stay him outside of Ivory Coast and put him all the way in Belgium. I am happy that they have succeeded in destroying Ivory Coast through Alassane Ouattara. They have maintained their stronghold in one of the reservoirs of Africa's resources. And today, that there's no elections, they have released Laurent Gbagbo. Let's all Africans wake up to realize that we cannot continue to sit aside whilst they kill our prophets. As the Nestor Bob Marley said, how long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look?
All right, thank you so much, Bernard, for your submission. Viewers, if you're watching us on Facebook, share the Facebook Live posts for other people to also watch today's edition of the program. Keep your messages coming in on our WhatsApp text line. We'll make a time and read all those out for you. Let me also remind you that one of the topics we'll be discussing is the chartered flight, the controversy surrounding it. Minority in Parliament is not in agreement with what government is talking about. You recall that the defense minister was in Parliament to respond to some issues. He says the presidential jet is not convenient for the president and that the president cannot even bath in the presidential jet. Well, that's a topic, interestingly, we'll be looking at. But let me go to Comrade Murtala Mohammed on the African story.
Well, good morning, Justice. Good morning to the old man who misses an opportunity to tell the whole world how older he is than me. You are just older than me for days, I guess. And good morning to my brother. Yes, I'm saying that I would give the old age to you if you so wish.
Doesn't take away the fact that he's older than you for some days.
I don't understand.
Well,
the only thing I can say is that he is a good brother. When I was contesting for you, This man dedicated himself, broke away from the camp that he belonged to, and came because he identified me as
He's a very good man.
And so for that, I always, and anytime I meet people, I always say, look, this young man, I respect him.
Very well, very well. He's a brother. He's a very good man. I know.
Did you say this young man?
This young man. I didn't say boy. I credited you with a man.
Correct.
Yeah, so
are you in denial that he's older than you?
Well, I'm saying that age is nothing but a number. As a matter of fact, as a psychology student, there are different kinds of ages. So I'm not too sure which of the ages he's talking about.
Okay,
we have psychological age, we have social age, we have chronological age, we have biological age, we have educational age. I don't know which of the ages he's talking about. If it has to do with chronological age, it's just number. I believe that biological age, I can be healthier than him. So I will give him that space. Thank you, old man, big bro, and he misses, no opportunity to state that. And it's good to be here with my brother. This is the first time I've shared a platform with him, and let me also use this opportunity to say good morning to your viewing public,
Very well.
and most importantly, the people of Tamale Central. And permit me, a kid brother of mine is having a wedding on Sunday.
Okay.
I urge that people participate. I really would love to. He's called Juna. He's a kid brother of mine. Perhaps you give me an invoice. I agree entirely with my brother that Kenneth Kaunda is one of the greatest sons of Africa. He happened to be the last member of those freedom fighters who fought strongly and selflessly for the liberation of the continent of Africa. And it is true, he, including many other African leaders, were students of Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Mind you, they were all inspired by what Nkrumah did, which culminated to the independence of Ghana. And Nkrumah's view of the continent was not just limited to Ghana. His view transcended beyond the shores of Ghana, Africa, and in fact globally. If you understand the trip that he embarked upon, which the criminal elements within the Ghana Armed Forces, the likes of Kotoka and Ankara, and that's why I have a problem why we should name after our airport. This airport is named after a criminal, someone who engaged in a criminal act in the overthrow of Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He was on a mission to ensure global peace, and that was what he was on when they criminally engaged in that act. Kenneth Kaunda has been one of the longest serving leaders of the continent. He ruled Zambia for about 27 years, and since 1964 to somewhere 1997. That was how far he ruled the country. And he ensured a very stable country. He was also noted for his fight against HIV/AIDS and apartheid, because the view of his contemporaries and those who were in the struggle with him, all of their views were beyond just liberating their individual and respective countries. They focused on liberating the continent of Africa politically and economically, and he did tremendously well. For us to have lost such a person, for me, is a huge loss to not just the people of Zambia, but to the entire globe. As a former Secretary General of the All Africa Students Union, I had the opportunity to have met several African leaders, including himself. And I remember when we had the opportunity to meet Thabo Mbeki, he said something for me that was striking, and that made me prouder as a Ghanaian. He asked, and I was with many other student leaders across the continent. And in fact, and in telling us to uphold the principles of integrity, transparency, accountability, and the quest to defend the continent of Africa, he asked us, how many of you have read books written by Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? And as a Ghanaian in South Africa at the time when he made that statement, I could only be absolutely elated. When I had the opportunity to have met President Wade, he also emphasized, and in fact, during the AU summit in 2007 in Ghana, he made a public statement on the floor. He said that he challenges his colleagues to take time to read the books of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and that those of them who do not have the opportunity to have lived at the time when Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was in the helm of affairs for the continent of Africa, he urges them. Kenneth Kaunda on several occasions acknowledged the impact Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah had in him as a freedom fighter and as a liberator of not just Zambia, but the continent of Africa. And the lessons I think we all must learn, particularly young men and women who are engaged in politics today, is to learn the selflessness with which those people fought for the continent of Africa. We should learn from their incorruptibility, and for me that is sine qua non to we achieving the success we all are looking forward to achieving. These were people who dedicated the entire time and their entire lives to the continent of Africa. And that is why, unfortunately and sadly, this age and time, we are so much focused on labels. You must be a PhD holder, a professor, to be able to have a voice on national and continental issues. These people didn't have those kinds of accolade that comes with our view of the symbolism of people who must be respected and recognized because they happen to have PhDs, masters, how many masters, and professorial titles. I think that we need to go beyond that. And for me, it also, ignites the debate that should we be reconsidering changing some aspects of our curricula as a continent in terms of adding patriotism in the curriculum of our school. The United States of America today, they are so patriotic. They may have problems with that country, but they will defend the country to the hilt because this idea of patriotism is instilled in them from infancy. And I think that that is what we need to be looking at. The aspects of this individualistic view that respective African leaders are now considering the project of the continent for me is worrying. France has a tremendous role to play in the destruction of the continent. And I would come to that. I think that enough about what Kenneth Kaunda indeed did, what he stood for, notably HIV/AIDS. And I think that he was instrumental in fighting against this virus and ensuring that Africa did not remain a continent that was the hardest hit in terms of the ravage of the HIV/AIDS pandemic. So we have lost a great son, we have lost a leader, we have lost a comrade, we have lost an inspirer, and we have lost the last person among his contemporaries who fought selflessly for the liberation of the continent of Africa. So this is a loss to everybody, not just to the people of Zambia. On the issue of Ivory Coast, I think that my brother said almost everything I really wanted to say. Then notwithstanding, I think it is very clear how France subjugated many African countries, particularly Francophone countries. The dehumanizing conditions. France virtually had nothing. Someone should tell me what France possesses, what they have, apart from the technology to build weaponry. They don't have anything. About 80% of the resources of France are coming from Africa. And former President Jacques Chirac indeed indicated that but for Africa, that France could have been a third world country. Everything they got it from the continent of Africa. And they have not stopped ripping and robbing this continent. Unfortunately, many of the elite in the Francophone African countries still see France as the inspirer. They have their educations in France, and that is where they go for their holidays. Just recently, you witnessed what happened at the Pan-African Parliament. And my good friend, Malema, and those of us who have come into close contact with Malema, you would understand the principles on which he stood and continued to stand on those same principles. He said something that many African leaders at the time, or even in the parliament for want of the protection of diplomatic niceties, wouldn't want to or wouldn't venture to say. But he stated it, that France have always played a role in dividing the continent of Africa, and particularly in the elections of the leadership of the Pan-African Parliament. Because if you check, the Francophone countries are many. So anytime they go in to have such elections, to a very large extent, they influence it. The list said about ECOWAS in terms of the influences of France and the decisions taken by the ECOWAS and the inability of the sub-regional body to achieve a lot of the targets that they set for, that is geared towards the good of the people of the continent. The rules France plays, the better, because they always dictate, unfortunately, to these Francophone leaders what decisions they take Someone even joked that they dictate to them the kind of dresses they put on when they are attending such fora. And for me, that for me is extremely worrying. Will you believe that the very week they were supposed to elect a leader for the Pan-African Parliament, Jacques Chirac indeed arranged his travel, Macron arranged his travel to South Africa. All this, and in fact, there have been instances where, because of the leadership of the parliament who happen to be French-speaking or French-speaking Africans, France influenced them to the extent that Jacques Chirac would come unprepared, Macron would come unprepared, unprogrammed, and then he would come to address the sub-regional body. So France sees the continent as a survivor. France knows that they can't do without Africa. They know. They know that their people will suffer, their economies will crumble if they lose grip of the continent. They have been subjugating us, robbing us every single day for decades. And I shudder to think that they may continue until we have leaders who will stand their grounds, the likes of Laurent Gbagbo. You remember in Guinea, when Guinea said that they were not going to agree with some of the terms for the so-called independence of the French-speaking country. You witness what happened in Guinea, to the extent that even tables, school chairs, they destroyed everything. Everything they destroyed. Even what do they call it, chalkboard or blackboard. They destroyed virtually everything. And for me, I think that the people in Guinea should even be suing France, because all the things they provided for the people of Guinea were things they provided using the resources of Guinea. But the impression was created as if they brought those things from Paris. So when they were leaving, because Guinea refused to agree with the terms for which they could have their independence, they destroyed virtually everything. It was deliberately done to instill fear in the other African leaders, such that what we have done to Guinea, if you attempt it, we'll do worse. One would expect that having come of age, haven't moved for those long decades.
Right.
A lot of these French-speaking countries would have taken a position. And I think that young people and progressive forces in these French-speaking countries should stand up, because the rip-off, the robbery is just unacceptable. The extent to which they continuously divide African leaders in terms of these French-speaking lands. Sadly and unfortunately, we had African leaders who, at the time, when they were bastardizing Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and particularly in Ghana, when they said Nkrumah had declared a one-party state and described Nkrumah without any justifiable position that he was a dictator, the NPP and the Buza Dango tradition, they were hailing a Fu Bonye who had declared one-party state already in Ivory Coast. So these are some of the things that happen. The only way we can have a liberation of the entire continent, even though the last remnant of the struggle for the liberation of the continent is gone, the only way we can do that is that young people, myself and my brother, there is nothing wrong with he being an NPP activist, that they should understand that progressive forces have no bounds. They don't look at just political affiliation. They look at the interests of the collective. And I think that we must galvanize forces together. And the onus, and I know that Pan-Africa TV goes everywhere. We have other topics. The French-speaking countries, the young people, the progressive forces in those Francophone-speaking countries, watching this program, I think that they need to rise up. So it is not for nothing what happened to Laurent Gbagbo, because the moment you begin to oppose what France does to the French-speaking countries, they will find a way to do what they did to Laurent Gbagbo against you. And they get this by the stooges of African leaders they use. And they do that in every single African country. I think that Anglophone-speaking countries, we have been able to hold our own, but to what extent can we?
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Fair Salvation. On the issue of Nkrumah and the provocations, you can just call for a copy of Fight Back. Fight Back is a response to anti-Nkrumah provocations. You can call us on 0240748782, 0240748782. The issues raised by the anti-Nkrumahist and all of that, I mean, the responses are there. You know, the propaganda, the lies, the falsehoods, you get the responses in that book. The book is just 25 cedis. Just call us. If you are outside Accra, we'll get a way of, you know, sending the book to you. If you're in Accra, you pass by Pan-African Television and get yourself a copy. But you can call us on 0240748782, 0240748782. Now, protocol on the African stories.
Good morning, my brother. Let me also extend courtesies to Chairman Mona, and my former economics teacher, who also doubles as the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central constituency. Yeah, he taught me economics, and I trust that that was a period where they came to either do their national service or their internship program at Business Secondary School, BSCO, somewhere in 2002, where he came with the likes of Mohammed Zanjina. That particular person, I mean, it has been a very long time that I've cited him. Yes. UCC.
Yes. Okay. In fact, that was when we were in Lagos. Every semester break, we go home and teach free extra classes.
Okay. So these were, I mean, very industrious people that actually impacted or imparted knowledge to us, and of course, I must say that I actually, benefited from his fountain of honor.
Okay.
Coming back to talk about, but let me first of all also acknowledge a very prominent person who who celebrated his birthday yesterday, and he decided to join the camp of the New Patriotic Party because he has seen that the New Patriotic Party is a political organization that is capable of ruling this country to a chapter of significance. And for that matter, he deserves a very, a good commendation. He was the CPP National Youth Leader and former CPP 2020 parliamentary candidate for the constituency of Kumbungu, and he is in the person of Nabila Alhassan Rabiu, who is popularly known on Facebook as Alhaji Noble Nabila. I mean, it's very critical, especially whatever is going on within, our political space. For a former CPP, youth leader to have defected this way, is very much telling. And I want to use your medium to acknowledge the bravado with
people
which he decided.
Every day. I mean,
he
what's
decided
special
to
about
take
this?
that. I mean, it is. I mean, it is special. It is special, just as, I mean, everybody has the liberty to join political parties.
Some notable persons from MPP.
I know we will be.
So why not celebrate another person who has defected?
It's important. It's important. You might want to rubbish it, but I think it's very, very important. Okay. So long as political members are concerned, is that okay? And of course, given the caliber of a person he is, it is not a joke. Somebody who has actually been the frontliner of the youth, league of the CPP, coming to the fold of the NPP is very, very significant. Now, my brothers have actually, did justice to the topic under discussion. I would not be tempted by my former chairman to sway my thoughts or my line of argument.
But you defected to MP.
The problem of the smaller political parties is the issue of balkanization that former president has actually anyway. I think we allow them to
no, but you see,
certain percentage before them.
I gave you a topic
so please
to discuss.
That's why I'm saying that.
I even thought that you were wishing the person.
I will not allow this thing to. I will not allow you to do this to me. I think last week what you did was that I even gave you a message that why don't you allow Honorable Sabu to continue?
I spoke about and I went straight to talk about.
So you don't define to me which line of argument.
Provide your
Chairman, I beg you. I will not allow this.
Protocol.
I will not allow this.
In all humility.
The organization of a Puma.
Let me go with that. I will choose where I want to. Let me go with that. Protocol. Listen. I thought. I thought that you were wishing the person a happy birthday,
and then
which is allowed. But I mean, you directed to defection and all those things. And it's normal. I mean, the topic
because I will not sit here. I will not sit here.
I'll give you time. When the time is up, whether you have discussed the topic or not, I'll just
where I stand.
No, I don't think that.
So go ahead. So you see, no. What I'm saying is that I have given him.
No, let him go on the tangent. I will sit here to allow him.
When the time is up,
I will always protect my students.
So you can go ahead.
Yes, I would have to.
And not your elder brother.
Oh, get out of here.
You can go ahead, protocol.
I am your chief. Your elder brother. You are saying I should do what?
Yes. Elder brother who was beaten in Burkina like
yes, and you should have been issuing a statement by now.
Former President
which you didn't.
Kaunda.
Yeah.
And I think that largely I would want to look into this particular matters in terms of the Pan-Africanism that was being mooted. And of course, like they have all indicated, he was one of the leaders who mooted the idea of freedom, ensuring that the Africans were given freedom, and for that matter, democracy. It is very important in the sense that every country in the world should have the, the right to govern themselves. So to the extent that the Europeans during the period of colonization had actually, as it were, ravaged the resources of Africans and used it to develop their countries, and some of the dehumanizing issues that was going on, of course, people would want to say that this was very barbaric issues that ought not to be glossed over. So for the likes of, and of course, during those particular periods, Africans in the diaspora who came together and and constituted themselves known as the Negritude movement actually also played a very critical role in the liberation of the African continent. A classical example can be mentioned, a classical, persons that can be named is Leopold Sedar Senghor, who fought for, African liberation through, if you like, the use of literature and poetry. These things are very significant to the image of Africa. I think that talking about the Ivorian matter where Laurent Gbagbo, at the end of whatever proceedings that, that has actually been carried out, there wasn't any scintilla of evidence that can be attributed to him in terms of, crimes or whatever issues that they attributed to him. But I will resist the temptation to try to, veer into, as it were, geopolitics, because you might have your side of the story, but you don't know what was the real issues that was actually hovering around the time when that particular elections were held. Because if you take a chronology of what happened or what actually triggered that particular problem in Ivory Coast, it was a consequence of elections where Laurent Gbagbo and Alassane Ouattara entered into a fierce contestation, and that led to, certain kind of shenanigans, and at the end of the day, it erupted, as it were, some kind of fights within, just so that they were able to, as it were, declare a particular winner in that particular election. I think, all said and done, we need to forge ahead and accept the fact that Africa, and for that matter, the liberation of Africa, in one way or the other, had actually experienced a checkered history. And you and I are supposed to come together to be able to see how best we can rewrite the history of Africa, and ensure that we actually project ourselves into the global world with a positive image. That for me is very critical. My brother, Honorable Mutala, in his rendition, made certain commentaries that I thought that was not all the best in terms of his recollection of Nkrumah and then certain expressions that he put across, as if to suggest that there were some kind of shenanigans or whatever that happened, and for that matter, people ought to have been blamed, or in one way or the other. Now, what I'm driving across is that there is history and there is people who tell their story. Now, none of us sitting here lived the era of Nkrumah. Is that okay? So we all glean from the history that we learn. Now, and I'm glad he said he's a student of psychology or sociology. I think that at the end of the day, sociology or psychology also encapsulates in it some level of history. So I wouldn't want us to continue to try to resurrect Nkrumah and try to make a deliberate attempt to paint other persons black.
But there are some people who are making deliberate attempt to paint Nkrumah's image.
Especially so. I have been very consistent in monitoring the political space of Ghana. And Pan-African TV is a TV station that I monitor very well, especially Alaji and Alaji.
Okay.
You know, I have learned so much things about the history of Ghana. And I think that it is about time that we look into the faces of each other and tell each other the truth in terms of the history. Of course, certain things might have happened during the time of the struggle for independence in Ghana. And Nkrumah played, if you like, a significant role in that particular, process. Other persons also did same. It was just issues that actually separated their front, and any other issues or factors that arise as a result of their separation, we can talk about that. I wouldn't want to sit here and denigrate Nkrumah. Nkrumah, as we have read, did so many things for the country. Other persons also contributed for the country. So I think it's about time we try to desist from wanting to attribute some kind of blames, or if you like, paint other persons black. So that, because see, when I'm talking about this, I have not even mentioned anything that maybe any of them did. But there is a deliberate attempt anytime, especially the leftists, or if you like, the NDC and their collaborators, anytime Nkrumah names pops up, instead of discussing those particular issues dispassionately, they try to rope in other elements during those days and paint them black. I think it is not good. Just as I would also condemn, that particular literature, or if you like, textbook that came to sit and seem to, as it were, suggest that Nkrumah was a dictator and tried to paint Nkrumah black. I don't think it should be the right course for us. For me, we should forge ahead and ensure that the Hydra-headed problems, just as
that put aside, why didn't you condemn the party you belong for seeking to suggest that, well, we have founders of this country, founders plural, not a founder, when we all know, or history tells us, that Nkrumah is the founder of Ghana? Why didn't you condemn your party?
That is why I said that.
On that score. You are condemning other things people have said.
That is why I said to you that there are people who tell their stories and there is history. So there is a difference between history and people who would deliberately tell you their side of the story. I trust that at the end of the day, just as I've chronicled, that the independence of Ghana was not fought by Nkrumah alone. History will tell you the contributions of other persons within the struggle.
Are those contributions unrecognized?
At the end of the day, there was one person who emerged as the first president of the Republic of Ghana. So these are very, very clear issues that you and I must understand.
Okay.
I am not opening any Pandora's box. I don't even see it to be any form of Pandora box that I'm trying to open. But By the end of the day, what I'm trying to drive across is that let us be careful as to the kind of history that we change out, because that itself brings what is called indoctrination.
Let's be moving.
It brings indoctrination to the children.
I would have to go for a break briefly. Let's go for a short break. We'll be right back.
Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day, he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved. Every day, he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved.
Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. Keep your messages coming in on our WhatsApp / text line. We are live on Facebook. Please share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch today's edition of the program. You're on the floor, protocol. Kindly step down for me.
Yeah, so all in all, I think that my attitude towards this kind of argument is that let us pipe down and also look forward to the issues that confront us every day.
Okay.
The bread and butter issues and how this particular country is governed and to which direction it is going. That for me is significant.
All right, thank you so much for the great submission.
The assumption is that there isn't any direction with which this government.
Oh, there is.
There is. We'll come to that. We'll come to that.
He acknowledged the fact, and I was surprised that he said that I talked about Nkrumah. I mean, these are statements of fact. Is it not a fact that when a military junta overthrew a democratically elected government, they engage in criminality? So I'm saying that if you name after our airport after Kotoka, he was a criminal. Ankara and Co were criminals. They are beneficiaries of a crime against the state. And that is the point. I don't think that this would have been the narrative when he was with PNC. Principles do not change. Opinions may change. And I think that the principle with which you defended the cause of the Nkrumahism, which transcends NDC, NPP, and CPP, I have been saying it, Nkrumahism goes beyond the shores of even the continent of Africa. But Appiah, there is something I didn't, and if I don't...
briefly, so that
about
we can move to other
Kasule. Alhaji Kasule. And I thought that once my brother, extended his tribute to Alhaji Kasule, it was a representation of all. But as a son of Dagbang, and as someone, I first came into contact with him through Alhaji Ibrahim Mahama.
Okay.
And Alhaji Kasule has been a bedrock. This is a businessman who has been in legitimate businesses for a very long time.
Okay.
I grew up as a child hearing Kasule, a very rich person, who shows his benevolence to many people across, not just Dagbang, but across the continent. He has been a proud Dagomba who was so much concerned about the unity and the progress of Dagbang. So losing him is a loss to the entire Dagbang. Many people are aware of Mariam Hotel. Mariam Hotel is one of the biggest, if not the biggest and the most influential hotel in Northern region. And he happens to be the owner of that hotel. And I think that we have lost a great person. And I agree the body will be flown. I think that it was flown yesterday. It will be flown to Tamale this morning, I guess, for the burial. And I guess that is why our senior brother is not here, Honorable ABA Hussein. He certainly would have to attend. I know that on Sunday they will do the 3 days, and then, I guess so, and then they will fix a date for the 7 days. Because of some parliamentary work, that is why some of us are here. Exactly. It is our condolences to his family and to Dagbon. I think that everybody should be having the condolences to us. I happened to have come into contact with his daughter when she was doing her national service in Parliament. And I can understand a very young lady how she'll be feeling at the moment to have lost such a great person.
Okay, thank you so
much. Just a quick one. Let me admonish my mentee that he should take the examples of Nyaho Tamaklo, Joe Bedu Ansah, who, despite the fact that they veered from the Nkrumah's political traditions and went to join the New Patriotic Party for some reasons, at no point in time will an Nkrumah's event be organized that Nyaho Tamaklo will not participate, or Joe Bedu Ansah, who is a former Minister of Trade, will not participate.
Yeah.
And after that, they will speak so eloquently, so passionately and poignantly about the achievements of Kwame Nkrumah and how great Nkrumah has been. That today, you have a president who takes delight, whose stock in trade is to bastardize Kwame Nkrumah and all the achievements that Kwame Nkrumah represents. That president comes to national scenes and virtually berates Nkrumah, but goes internationally and is accorded respect because of the single honor of Kwame Nkrumah. This is a president who can claim that Nkrumah cannot even found his village in Nkrofo, and how dare Nkrumah claim that he founded Ghana. And yet, people started, in fact, MPP caused the Dagbon crisis, remember? Don't say, oh, for me to... MPP under President Kufuor caused the Dagbon crisis.
Can we let this
President Mills came tried to contain the crisis. President Mahama came and put up everything.
I don't know why my own...
You want to keep quiet for me to finish? You want to keep quiet for me to finish? You want to keep quiet for me to finish?
When you were making your submission, listen, when you were making your submission,
that was your position before you joined the MPP.
And then he respected you. He was very quiet. Why must you...
That was his position before he joined the MPP.
No. He wants me to refer to statements he made on other platforms in relation to the Dagbon crisis. I will do so. And I will go onto the internet now and bring things that you said. Please stop what you are doing this morning. Stop what you are doing this morning. Stop what you are doing this morning and listen to what I'm going to put out.
Okay, Chairman.
Good. So President Akufo-Addo, in all these things that even Otumfuo came to publicly say that no one person influenced the roadmap to the Dagbon peace agreement. President Akufo-Addo said he is Abu Dhani because he ensured there was peace, and therefore he founded New Dagbon and brokered new peace. Nobody has taken that away from President Akufo-Addo, because eventually that President Mills came. In fact, President Kufuor started to try to resolve the issues. Mills came and continued. John Mahama came and added on to. Akufo-Addo was the one who came and concluded it. Has anybody taken the glory from him?
No.
No one has taken the glory for him. So for you to sit here and say that why some other people fought for the liberation of our continent, our country, and therefore Nkrumah cannot be singled out for his achievement. What a pity. How can you say that? Even in religion, those we celebrate, you think that they were the only people? No. Others came, sacrificed their lives in order for the major religions to come and stay. Yet, we credit those two individuals, Prophet Muhammad and Jesus Christ. But they did not. They were not the first prophets. They came after other people. But we recognize them. Yeah. So don't come and sit on a political show and try to do things that you know that will not wash. Kwame Nkrumah continued to remain above and afloat.
All of them.
No one.
In fact, he became the African of the
No one. At the time when Nelson Mandela and co were alive.
Yes.
So it is something. Hey, President Akufo-Addo went and described Mandela as the founder of South Africa. Really? Winnie Mandela is there.
Not even Winnie, there were a lot of people.
Mandela is the founder of South Africa. We agree. If you go to South Africa, in order to iconize Mandela, there are 100 different sites.
Yeah.
That a bit of Mandela is seen. And when you go there, they will take you there as a tourist. You pay money. You come to Ghana, and what we do, including a president, is to shred the one person whose efforts led to our independence. Which independence actually qualified you to become president? Because if we did not achieve independence, Akufo-Addo will never dream of becoming a president. So let us understand what we are talking about anytime the issue of Kwame Nkrumah. It is an issue that brings about passion, that brings about how backward we have gone. And I need to take this moment to salute the likes of Dr. Donata, who, when he was Minister for Works and Housing, have you seen the bust of Kotoka at the airport again? He went and removed the bust and said that they needed to go and dust the dust and bring it. I can tell you it is only Donata and a few people who know where the bust has been thrown. He removed it because it was not befitting of our international airport that a coup d'etat, somebody who committed heinous crimes against the state, we will name our entry and exit port after him.
Thank you so much, Chairman, for your submission. Fight Back is still there. A response to anti-Nkrumah provocations. Get yourself a copy. It's just 25 cedis. You can call 024074 8782 024074 8782. Call us and get yourself a copy. Now, let's come back home, and I'll start with you, Comrade Murtala Mohammed. Cocoa Roads minority accuses government of inflating cost, and will blend this with the chartered flight issue.
Well, there is no denying the fact that this government will remain the most corrupt government ever in the history of this great nation. I think it's obvious, and I agree with our friends from the NPP when they defended the statement President Kufuor made. By the way, someone who had the temerity to question Nkrumah's vision. He said, rather famously or infamously, that corruption started from Adam.
You have 10 minutes to
you remember he said corruption started from Adam. I agree with him. The difference between President Nana Addo and the previous presidents we have had in this country is that Nana Addo has perfected corruption. This is a person who touted himself as the most incorruptible politician ever in the history of this country, who said that others without a scintilla of evidence were engaged in corrupt acts. You remember the MPP stopped short of calling the NDC thieves, and in fact some of their ministers today called NDC thieves. You remember when President Mahama appeared before Parliament to deliver the State of the Nation's address as required by the Constitution. They came with placards describing us as thieves without a scintilla of evidence. What we experience under this government is more than thievery. As a matter of fact, it's beyond robbery. That is the kind of things we experience under this government. I remember when they came into office, the chief executive of Cocoa Board with the Minister for Agric held a press conference and stated that the NDC had inflated cocoa roads. You remember?
Yeah.
Justice, I happen to have been a member of the board as the rep of the Ministry of Trade. They also alleged that Dr. Opuni had squandered $400 million. You remember? In that press conference, they alleged that Dr. Opuni had squandered $400 million and that we had indeed awarded contracts more than the budget we had. And clearly, my response at the time was nothing but ignorance, because the chief executive of Cocoa Board and the Minister for Agric ought to have known that they didn't actually, either they didn't read the handing over notes properly, or they were just doing the usual MPP propaganda. At the time, argument, the fact was that we awarded contracts some of the contracts were going to take about 5 years to complete, some more than 5 years. So you know the contract sum. If you have a contract that is going to take 5 years to complete, and then you award that contract, what you do is that the monies were given in stratas, so that every year, Cocoa Board goes for syndicated loans, and then you put into the loans this amount of money you are using for cocoa roads. So if you have a contract, let's say constructing a road from Pan Africa TV to Abilingpe traffic lights, for example, and the cost of that construction is 100 million Ghana cedis. That 100 million Ghana cedis doesn't mean that you are going to pay the 100 million Ghana cedis 2021, because the 100 million Ghana cedis is the total cost. However, it's going to take the contractor 5 years, 4 years, or 3 years to complete. So what Cocoa Board and what we did, and the chief executive with the management and government at the time did, was that the contract sum is 100 million, but we are not paying the 100 million outright. We will pay every year maybe 1 million. So by the time, or every year 10 million or 20 million. So if you are giving 20 million every year, by 5 years we would have finished paying. Because contractors, sometimes they are given mobilization list. And that was the reason. They simply took this, went and had a press conference and said that we had awarded contracts more than what was required in the budget. And you had a section of the Ghanaian media, a section that follows the MPP like a shadow, that they took this and they went to town. They also accused Dr. Opuni of squandering $400 million. Interestingly, the prosecution of Dr. Opuni, which is on court, and I'm mindful, that 400 million allegation didn't find space in the reasons why the MPP went to court. What we are experiencing today, under this government and the Cocoa Road, is unacceptable and outrageously inflation of prices of cocoa roads. And the thing is simple, so that someone can have money to chop. Because if feeder roads or urban roads awards contract, and we know that 1 kilometer road, everybody knows the estimates. So if the standard estimates for 1 kilometer bitumen road is, let's say, 10 million Ghana cedis, for example, and then you have Cocoa Board, which has awarded such 50 million Ghana cedis, for example, you don't need rocket science to tell you that there is robbery there, because there isn't any special road that is going to be done once that contract was awarded by Cocoa Board. The same kilometer roads, perhaps the same contractors. Then you have such outrageous inflation in prices. And it is not only even cocoa roads. Almost everything in this government, in this country, there is an inflation. And that is the reason why you have huge sums of monies that have been taken in the form of loans. Yet there is nothing to show for those monies. We see today, you had the Minister for Transport who appeared before Parliament and lied to the people of this country. And in the coming days, we would have to take him on about the traffic, the number of people who use the airport. So this thing permeates through every single state institution under this government. So the thievery, that money could have been used to build a lot of roads. Mind you, we get cocoa before we had this division or creation of new regions. When we had 10 regions, we had cocoa producing regions, which were about 6. Out of the 16 regions we have today, cocoa producing regions will be about 10 or more. Many people didn't even know that we produce cocoa from Volta region. And in fact, under the Cocoa Board, shea nuts are part of it. Now, go and check in the cocoa producing areas and find out the state of the roads in those areas. A classical example has to do with Western region. Go to Western region and see the deplorable nature of the roads in Western region. So that was the reason why the previous Cocoa Board under the NDC, we took a decision to fix the roads in those regions, particularly most of the cocoa producing regions. So a lot of roads were awarded. When this government came, you know what they did? When they came, they suspended all the contracts that were awarded by the NDC administration under the cocoa road. They suspended them and said that they were having an accounting firm, an auditing firm or accounting firm to audit. And you know what? They brought in an audit firm and spent millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. The Minister for Agric should be answering questions. That auditing firm got nothing out of that. You have Mr. Osafo Mafo's son. Mr. Osafumafu's son, who is one of the people appointed at the Cocoa Board to be leading that. You had a journalist who was with, is it Peace FM or one of the FM stations, who was appointed as is it a PRO or communication, whatever, and they are paying the guy who's that? One journalist. He was with either Peace FM or one of the FM stations.
With Net2.
Net2. They are paying him over 10,000 Ghana cedis and gave him a Land Cruiser.
But this is an allegation.
He should come out. He should come out and deny whether he's not taking over 10,000 Ghana cedis a month. He should come out and
talking about Fifi.
Yes, Fifi. He should come out and deny whether they haven't given him a Land Cruiser in his capacity as well. That particular position was non-existent.
That he's being paid.
I am saying that he should come. Look, if he comes out, I have stated the figure. If he says that he's not being paid, that he tell us how much he's been paid. And in any case, that portfolio was not there.
It is proper to provide a proof.
I am saying,
what you're saying.
What proof do you need than what I have just told you? Mind you, I have worked at Cocoa Board. I have served on the Cocoa Board before as a board member. And I'm saying that portfolio was non-existent. They created the portfolio so that he can also get something to chop. And in fact, that portfolio was required, even in creating it, is required for a person with a particular level of education. That is the point that I'm making. They have created such portfolios for looting. That is precisely what they have done. So are you surprised that some of these things are being done? Are you surprised that they have had consistent inflation of the prices of the roads that they are building? Not only that, go and find out the company that supplies chemicals to Cocoa Board. One of the reasons why some people are in court today has to do with the supply of chemicals to Cocoa Board. Go and find out what is happening. Find out within the echelon of leadership in this country, which particular person has some control over the companies that supply the chemicals to the Cocoa Board. Find out the biggest supplier of chemicals to Cocoa Board. That woman, what is her relationship with someone in a higher position of government? Find out the relationship the Minister for Agri has with some of the companies that are supplying some of these things to Cocoa Board. So I'm saying that you have all these things that are happening. So if you want to get into the thievery and the robbery within Cocoa Board, it transcends even the inflation of prices or the cost for the building of such roads. What justification can anybody give to the fact that roads that are constructed by Cocoa Board are extremely higher than roads that are constructed by other agencies within the state? And I'm not talking about private entities. I am talking about roads constructed that are awarded and supervised by the urban roads or the feeder roads. Find out the disparities in terms of the cost. So you don't need anybody to tell you that what we are experiencing under the Cocoa Board is nothing but broad daylight robbery.
Thank you so much. You didn't touch on the other issue of the chartered flight.
Look, the least said about the chartered flight, the better. We are being told today by my brother that the president wants to have a chartered flight that will provide him with the services of a spa, such that he can do his manicure and pedicures in a flight. If a person can bath in a flight,
he didn't say a spa.
He doesn't. He didn't need to state a. I'm saying that he didn't need to state that a spa. If you can bath in a flight, you can do anything in that flight. We have been told the previous leaders that we have had in this country, mind you, the last presidential flight we had, before we bought the one President Mahama was using, was bought by Achompong. And several leaders used that particular flight. The one President Mahama was using, several other leaders use it. How significant? And between President Nanado and the previous administrations, the previous leaders, which of them deserves to have a spa in a flight? Which of them? They are younger. President Mahama is younger. He deserves to even have his manicures and pedicures. I wonder at that age whether the president nails grow. Because as you grow older, in fact, your nails no longer even grow. You know that. As you grow older, you don't need such niceties.
But
now we are being told.
Bathing in the flight got to do with a spa. Because what the minister said in Parliament yesterday was that the presidential jet is not convenient for the president, and that the president cannot even bath.
As a justification why, the president is spending $15,000 per hour to charter a flight.
15,000 euro.
15,000 euro. In fact, I was being charitable. 15,000 euro per hour to charter a flight. That particular presidential jet. You see, what I expect journalists to do.
Isn't it right that the safety of the president is considered? the comfort of the president is considered when traveling? Because, look, this is not the only reason ascribed to why we had to go in for a chartered flight.
If they want to talk about
the minister also talked about defects, you know, on the presidential jet, and gave instances where the jet had to leave them when they traveled with it. One of those instances was when they traveled with a presidential jet to US also, he had a problem.
Look, I listened to my brother. The reasons he gave were absolutely not tenable. One of the reasons he gave was the one that it can take more people. The president doesn't need to travel with more people, because once he travels with more people, it's not just about the number of people who sits in the flight, but the expenditure of the entourage. The president traveled with 20, 30 people. They are all going to lodge into first-class hotels at the expense of the state. So the argument of that it can take more people, I think that it should be true. No, I'm saying that, you see, that is why we have repeatedly juxtaposed the number of people traveled by President Mahama with this. This one, he traveled with his entire family, his grandchildren, children, nephews, and everybody. We have seen where the president having negotiations. Those pictures, you have seen it. And you have Gabi Ochebdako standing by in his capacity as who? In his capacity as who? So I'm saying that the argument that the president cannot travel with many people with this, the presidential jet we have, for me, he should put it somewhere. Why must he? Anywhere you travel, we have embassies and high commissions across the globe. And in fact, it is the responsibility, yes, it is the responsibilities of the embassies and the receiving country to provide you or extend those courtesies. Now, the argument that was also made is that, can you imagine the president just land and then moving into a meeting? Yes. Seriously, I mean, that is the limits of excuses that I have ever heard. Why? If I have a program, we knew this program was starting at 8 o'clock, isn't it? We all ensured we got here before 8. Yes. Now, if I come here and I say, I can't get here before 8, and therefore I need to be taking my breakfast whilst I am driving to this place, does it make sense? The president's arrangement, the president doesn't just sit and then travel. The protocol, security reasons, they would have done all those arrangements before the due date for the president to travel. If he knew that the meeting starts at this time, the president travels before that. And in any case, that is not even true. Before, the itinerary of the president would have been known, been determined and agreed upon. If there is a program that you are attending, they would have agreed upon the time for arrival and everything. So it tells you that they are also terrible planners. So this excuse should be put somewhere. But the last point, let's find out how many times have we refurbished this presidential jet or service it under this government.
You're talking about the defect.
Yes. Do you know the reason?
What's the reason?
They use the presidential jet like Trotro. And if you use a presidential jet like Trotro, you certainly would have the challenges. When President Mahama was using it, did he say that there was the justification for a new presidential jet to be procured? Between President Mahama and President Nanado, who is deserving of a luxury? Who is deserving of a luxury? That you want a
they are human beings. They are president.
So what makes him special? That he thinks that he needs a bigger flight. He thinks that he needs a flight where he can do his spa in it, a flight where he can take his bath, does his manicures and pedicures in it. What makes him special? With this corruption that in fact, I think that he's even undeserving. Now, the minister also said that. The minister also said that, he knows the president likes traveling by road than any other president. When I heard it, I didn't know whether I should cry or I should laugh. I was just in a state of incommunicado.
Okay.
Who loves traveling by road than any other president? To the extent that you have ministers under this government. When they were going to file their nomination, they went with the presidential state helicopter. That's what they did. So even ministers don't love traveling by road, let alone president who wants to have a spa in a flight.
Thank you so much, comrade. Protocol. Cocoa Roads, minority accused government of inflating costs and then also chartered flight. Its controversies.
Thank you very much, Justice. I think that I want to appeal to your viewers to kindly ignore the populist theatrics that has been displayed.
By who?
I trust that we need to look into this particular matter.
I didn't teach you that.
With open.
I didn't teach you this.
I'm shocked at the choice of words.
At best, that is what I can describe it. I mean, it's
I'm telling you, I didn't teach him this.
Theatrics.
You referred to your
teacher.
teachers.
Yes. In fact, I didn't teach him only economics. I forgot it. I taught him English too.
Social studies.
And I didn't teach you this.
You could describe his submission in those words.
Theatrics.
Wow.
Theatrics.
Okay.
All right.
Now, if you look around the world, you would understand the fact that, especially when it has to do with matters of presidency, it is not for nothing that every country holds their president, who by default, and in the case of Ghana, is described as the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. Now, I am starting this particular, line of argument because if you make a juxtaposition to, for example, those kinds of courtesies that are accorded to the President of the United States of America. The United States of America, the President of the United States of America, if he is coming to Ghana, he would fly Air Force One. And I just want to appeal to the listeners to Google to find out the engineering dynamics of Air Force One and look at the sophisticated things that are there and the amount of resources in terms of monetary terms that is used in, as it were, developing or procuring this particular flight. Now, let me just make it very simple for us to understand. When Barack Obama won as the President of the United States of America and his subsequent visitation to the Republic of Ghana, invitations were given out to people to come and, as it were, witness, to prominent people to come and witness, what is it called? That particular speech that Obama was going to deliver to the good people of Ghana. I remember very vividly when the then chairman of the, and of course he is the one who is rightly seated here, my boss Bernard Mona. Apparently, I think he came into the program very late, by which time Barack Obama had already entered the, what is it called? He has already entered the premises. So what the United States government did was that they virtually took control of the security around the vicinity where this particular thing was going. Almost virtually, as if to suggest that our security, or they could not have even trusted our security in that regard. My chairman found it very difficult entering because the President of the United States of America had already entered the premises, and for that matter, no other person can enter it. When they came with what the presidential car is called the Beast. So these are some of the courtesies that are accorded to presidents around the world, and I'm not. It is not the Beast that every other president use. I only figured out the United States of America for us to see a particular sense. Now, I don't want to be tempted to, to move into the fray of the thinking of the NDC in this particular regard.
Before you go there, what is this comparison about Ghana and United States of America?
Yes, so that is why
United States of America has money than Ghana. Their economy is robust than that of Ghana. They are the superpowers. So you cannot equate how they do their things when it comes to their presidents and their travels as to that of Ghana, where your economy is even struggling to be on its feet.
So may I continue?
Can be used to carry 6 and
Very well. So I mean, I'm struggling to understand the comparison.
I'm still in the floor.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. So I brought out this for us to appreciate the significance of the number one person in the country, and for that matter, countries around the globe. Is that okay?
Okay.
Now, the topic for discussion has to do with, excuse me, the procurement or the, what is it called? The president's travel to France.
His decision to charter a flight for his travel. Yeah.
Exactly. So, at the end of the day, a particular attribution of cost was, given to it, and people wanted to make fun out of this. For me, what is important in this discussion is that we need, as a country, to engage in the debate whether or not the country really needs a befitting, presidential, a jet or flight that would be able to carry out, as it were, what's it called, take on board people who matter in government, and of course, what is it called, people who are staffers within the presidency. Because the presidency is not just the president himself, but he works with other people. And mind you, these kinds of, propositions are not just coming from mere people. The security agencies have actually, even mooted the idea of this. But unfortunately, during the time of Professor John Evans Atta Mills, he jettisoned the idea where the president, former President Kufuor, wanted us to procure, what is it called? I think, is it BBJ aircraft or something, where the president came and, as it were, jettisoned that particular arrangement and took the one that we are actually, I think, that we are using as at now. For me, I would want to defer superior knowledge to the defense minister who, I think yesterday or so, what is it called, submitted a very cogent argument in support of whatever is going on.
Which ones are the cogent arguments? Have you read convenience of the president and buffing in the
So that is the theatrics that I'm talking about. When he submitted, when he went onto the floor of the House and read that particular statement. Tell me which part of the statement that you are attributing this so-called SPA or whatever. Where in that report can that, does that particular expression, does that particular issue found expression in it? So it is not the matter of ganging up to try to make the entire security situation of the presidency looks bad. But what is important is that
ganged up?
I trust that this is a syndicated kind of a ploy to make everything look as though the president, wants to live like an Arabian king.
But did anybody send the defense minister to parliament?
You understand?
So? Did he say that or not?
I have asked you whether or not.
Let me prove that to you. Go ahead.
You will not prove it to me because it is non-existent.
Okay.
It is non-existent. It is just the figment of people's imaginations. Perhaps he might have used those particular expressions just to more or less, as it were.
But you are saying that he didn't say so.
Justice.
I would want to prove that to you. I trust that he might have said so.
Just listen to me.
Did you listen to the defense minister?
Justice, please. I am not speaking Swahili to you. Okay. We are speaking English.
All right.
Great.
Did you listen to the? Let me first and foremost. Did you listen,
please?
The defense
My question
minister?
To you is that have you read the statement?
Did you listen to the defense minister? Why I listened to
have you also read the statement? Have you also read the statement?
I did not read the statement. I listened to him on the
floor. So that is why I said that I would defer superior knowledge to the statement that he read on the floor of parliament. That is what I'm saying. So for me, that is very critical. Now this business of trying to make, capital gain out of this, I don't see it. I don't see it flying, because that is why in my commentary on this particular matter, I made references to, countries, for example, the United States of America. Even what we are even arguing upon as of now, countries such as Mali, La Côte d'Ivoire, you know, Burkina Faso, and all that are having a befitting presidential, you know, jet that would be able to carry the entire presidency to any way that they want. You can check it.
Give me 1 minute.
Please, you can check it.
Quote, presidential jet not convenient. No president can even shower in it, says Nitiwo.
Reported by
I am
who?
not saying this.
So
this is reported by, listen.
No, but
Please listen, because you need to allow me. I mean, I'm moderating the program. If I ask for a time, you need to do so.
Good.
And this is reported by CTFM Online. My Joy Online is also here. Akufo-Addo can't even shower in presidential jet, says Nitiwo. Defense president alleged extravagant foreign travel. And if you give me the chance, I'll read a bit of the story for you. The Minister for Defense,
you see,
Dominic Nitiwo, says the safety of the president. No, you see,
Justice,
I think
Justice,
it is incumbent on me,
yes,
to make sure that when people make statements on this platform, and sometimes we even want to make the host look stupid, we bring out the real issues and settle the score right here before the
I
program
trust that. And please, so let me also say something.
You told me that you were not speaking Swahili to me.
I think that I also say this to you so that you would add it.
Read my
I will
English,
so that you will also add it to your rendition.
You can go ahead.
I trust that anytime somebody also makes a particular assertion, please come in to either, you know, let the person prove that particular assertion so that we can move forward. That would give a sense of justice to the people who are listening and watching us. You understand? So for me,
my brother, when I said you even asked me, you even started
my problem is that if I'm on the floor, please allow me to land.
I've allowed you, but where I think that things need
when I said
to be
spy, he said that he never
yes,
used
I
the
would
word
have to
spy.
do so, and that's exactly what I have.
So that's why I'm saying that if you were listening to me, I said that I would defer superior knowledge to what the defense minister Dominic Nitiwo read on the floor of Parliament.
to indicate.
You didn't allow me to.
Where exactly he said so.
Yeah.
Didn't you do so?
Did he?
That's exactly what I have done.
Did he read that particular
Did he say so? Did the defense minister
So if
say
he
so?
that's I was coming to that. So if you had allowed me, you would see my line of argument.
Go ahead.
You understand? So perhaps in his attempt to to justify why this kind of procurement issues must be done, I didn't hear that he might use that particular issue to, as it were, as an example to drum home that particular argument that I'm talking about. But in the very essence of the statement that he submitted or presented to the floor of Parliament, that particular expression did not come. That is what I'm talking about.
Which expression?
When he was reading the statement itself, did he mention that the president cannot even bow in?
So now people cannot hold the defense minister responsible for
I
statements
was in the
made.
chamber.
Listen to me. It is good we understand each other before we can move ahead.
You wonder if I was in the chamber. As a matter of fact, if you take the statement as he delivered it, you may not see. But in response
to a question,
he said it.
Exactly. So that is what I'm saying.
So it doesn't matter whether
it doesn't matter whether it was in the
So it means that we are all on the same page.
I want to know, doesn't matter whether it was captured in the statement or he said it.
So
said it.
That is why I'm saying that. For example, if let's say I come and ask you a question on a particular matter, your answer or your approach to the answer, your approach to explain your approach to explaining those answers to me would vary from what Chairman would also say. Everybody has,
But he's a minister of state who was addressing, making a statement in Parliament. Parliament is the representation of the entirety of the people of this country.
I know.
That is why they describe it as a house of record.
Yes.
So if a minister appeared before Parliament in answering questions and he stated, that is the position of the minister and the government. That's the point. He stated it, and you see, when you take the statement as delivered, you may not. That's why I agree with you.
Certain statements that even for purposes of record, somebody, the person who possibly would be making a presentation, a particular statement can be attributed, and the person would require or would request that such statement be expunged because
Yeah,
of certain reasons.
But
I'm only saying this is such a situation can arise.
Yeah, it does.
But at the end of the day, Parliament as an institution would take into consideration what has actually been submitted to it.
No, that's not true.
You understand?
No, hold on.
Please.
No, don't mislead the
Don't also mislead me. Allow me to also... Please.
Comrade, can you allow him to step down
just
for
allow
me?
me.
Make your point and step down.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, it would have to adopt whatever has been presented, including certain statements and answers that you have made.
Okay.
So for me, what is critical in this discussion is that, let us try to understand the fact that presidents across the globe are very important so long as the governance of the country is concerned. That is how come that every country must strive to be able to give the utmost protection to their president.
Okay.
That is what I said in Ghana. The president is seen as the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces.
All right. So
you understand. So for me, I think that I've been able to articulate my issues.
No, I'm correct. For the sake of our viewers. Briefly.
Briefly. Every single statement in Parliament is recorded.
Okay.
So when you make a statement and that statement is proven not to be true, like you don't have evidence, then they would have to expunge it.
Okay.
So he stated that Parliament works with statement that are submitted. No.
Okay.
Any statement you make in Parliament, it is captured in the
That's very well
answer.
noted.
If you think that you are
noted.
You are misrepresenting.
Okay.
No, but
so,
you said
please. But for the sake of our viewers, let us also take into cognizance that the Minister of Defense was answering a question on the airworthiness of the presidential jet.
Yeah.
And he made those categorical statements about the number of persons or loads it could carry, about the convenience of the president and the fact that the president cannot even bath in the jet. And you think that, those statements, because they were not captured in his statement, should not be referred to. Chairman, two issues. Cocoa Roads, minority accuses government of inflating cost, and the chartered flight.
Let me start with roads because they are critical to linking the hinterland to marketing centers and also to linking food from their source of production to the consuming population. And then I will urge these young men that phones can be very addictive.
Which young man?
You, the young man, that phones can be addictive. If you want to read your WhatsApp messages and whatever you...
Just a few minutes ago, you were holding your phone.
So put your phone down.
Down to is determined by age.
Yes. Yes. I'm talking to a young man.
When you making a WhatsApp call.
Oh, really? You are the only one that can make a WhatsApp call on a live television. You are the only one. Rules are critical, and it is important for us to look at what goes into roads. And more importantly, when there are many roads in rural communities that are begging, in fact, they are not begging, they are crying. They are in tears. Because if you live and you are in the northeast, as soon as you pass Nalerugu, before you can enter Nakwanduri, all the way, there is no road that is started. When you enter Nakwanduri, either you are going to Bimbago, you are going to Najong, all the communities, or you are going to Garu, you see that they are terrible roads. And in particular, if you take to go down the scarf, to go towards Garu, you go through what my friend and brother, lawyer Mujib once described, that these other people merely accompanied the rest of us in this world. They have been forgotten. And so when it comes to issues of roads, you who have traveled so much within the country and have seen the kind of routes that people traverse, that in some instances when, and I hate to cite this example because I have suffered pain, when pregnant women in labor will have to be carried on motorbikes because no vehicle is available. In fact, if there is a vehicle that is available, the vehicle will take longer hours to get to the hospital than if you were on foot. So you carry people like that on motorbikes. And so it's important that we develop our routes. One of the attributions for which President Akufo-Addo in his first term set up the ministry responsible for procurement was that there were so many single sourcing, and that single sourcing had cost this nation a whole lot. And as a result of that, single sourcing will not appear under his authority. Under the National Procurement Authority, where Ajay was the head, we saw the kind of scandals where he had to set up the Talent Limited, single sourcing projects virtually to his company, and now selling them to other people who could buy them. We saw that the Ministry of Procurement then supervised sole sourcing of contracts. And we have been told eloquently by President Akufo-Addo that anytime there is single sourcing, it means there is corruption, there is inflation of prices, and that we lose value and other projects are untapped. Under the cocoa rules, about 286 rules that have been awarded. 177 of them have been single sourced. Believing in President Akufo-Addo's own eloquency, that anytime you do single sourcing, it means that there is humongous corruption. Above all, that other communities are denied their share of development, and that we don't get value for money. It doesn't come to me as a surprise that the minority will raise this issue, because President Akufo-Addo made that as a cup of gari when he was trumpeting that they should try him and see that single sourcing will not be. So this sole sourcing of 177 projects actually smacks of corruption, denial of development to other communities, and above all, it indicates that there's no value for money. So I don't think that the minority created this, because they simply took President Akufo-Addo's words and situated it within the framework of things that have happened. And obviously, I don't think that anyone can come denying it. So it is important that we do value for money projects. It is important that we do, quote, competitive bidding, so that those who come with lower but effective and efficient way of doing the roads can come and do them, so that we can leverage some resources for other communities, so that we can get these things done. Unfortunately, they are not done. And so this is a source of worry. But why are we worried? Because corruption has become the second national anthem of our nation. And therefore, when we see these things, you are like, well, that is the new song that we have to be singing. And I'm totally scandalized by the revelations by the minority in this instance. Issue of presidential jet that took my brother to what happened when President Obama visited Ghana. Why? President Obama, and it is not only President Obama, but probably we relax our security. Anytime the guest of honor of an occasion, and this I can tell you from Tamasco, of an occasion.
You attended Tamasco?
Yes, and this is from Tamasco.
Sanargo Secondary.
Tamasco.
You didn't have the privilege opportunity to
I attended Tamasco, and I was in the best house, Tamakulu House.
Oh, I said you didn't have the privilege opportunity to attend Ganasco, sorry.
Which one?
have my sympathy.
Which one are you talking about? You mean
Ghana Central School?
That one that
You
is...
attended Sanargo.
That one, you know, when we finished constructing Tamale, and they didn't find a place to put it, they went and put it in the last Tamale.
You know, there was that Sanargo Second.
Oh, yes, it's located in
We eat
Sanargo.
Tubani there all the time.
No, and then we eat everything in Tamasco. It was the best place. Ghanaians could not sleep. Everything. Ghanaians could not sleep anytime. They will come to Tamasco in the wee hours of the night.
So your girls wanted Ghanaians. So
and that's why you came there.
I mean,
and our girls didn't come to you. Our girls didn't come to you. We wanted you.
We were gentlemen, so we needed to go.
Stop distracting me. You know,
Yeah.
when you have a guest of honor for any occasion, and that guest of honor enters the auditorium, decency and protocols requires that no other person should enter. In the Parliament of Ghana, when the president is entering the Parliament of Ghana, as soon as he enters the Parliament, they close and lock all the doors. That is protocol. That's your name anyway. So it is not alien that we were given a time to arrive at the function. Unfortunately, like all other presidents of the United States that will visit any country, the American security normally will get here 3 months before time. Take note, 3 months. They will recce the whole area. And I used to stay at Lakeside. So coming from Lakeside, by the time we got to the Tetekwashi interchange, they had seized the road.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And they seized the road all the way to Kawukudi Junction. They seized it all around. So you are not able to go unless you are able to provide your pass that you are going for that event. And so by the time we got to the Parliament House, President Obama had entered. The Ghanaian security allowed us to even cross because of who we were. When we got there, the American security indeed said, look, in fact, he started insulting himself. He said, sorry, I can see that you are a respected person within the community. The state security have allowed you to come far, but I am a very stupid security officer coming from the United States of America. He started insulting himself and said that, but I'm sorry, I cannot let you in. I have no option to return. What has that got to do with the comfort of President? Can I?
Please allow him.
Can I?
He was quiet when you were making a
Can I?
submission.
Can I?
It's a rhetorical question.
What has that security arrangement got to do with President Akufo-Addo traveling on a jet?
Can please, Justice, just a minute.
In any case,
Just a minute.
when the Minister for
I make the
Defense,
recollection of that particular situation.
now I am happy that
to drive home the importance and reverence of how other countries, you know.
I have just told you. If you were listening, I'm saying that the guest of honor of any occasion, when that enters a place, every other person is estopped. So I answered what you are trying to bring here. If you were actually listening, that look, it is not just about the United States of America's president, but it is something we should accord, which has been in place. I have gone to many functions where presidents are, and when you get there and the president is there, you are prevented. You are asked to stay until the event is done. So it is not unique to the United States of America's president. It is not unique. For every other president and their security, any other leader. And I'm saying this that for those who don't know, and I wanted everybody to know, that in functions of that nature, you don't go as an attendee when the main speaker has started speaking. They will not allow you to enter. It's a matter of order.
And protocol.
And so we must know this. So it was not something we suffered because they had blocked all the roads. In any case, if you are even talking about that of the United States of America, when Vladimir Putin travels to the United States of America, they don't turn off his plane engine. When he goes on a UN mission, just watch. His plane engine is on until he finishes delivering his speech. When he finishes, he comes back, he's gone. That is security. So in this matter that the Minister for Defense is talking about the security of the president, what is security about a chartered plane? What is security about a chartered plane? A plane that is being used by other persons, celebrities. You understand, that can go and charter because they have wealth. Our president also decide to go and take that plane. And then our next defense minister is talking about the security of the president. In fact, that man should be taken out as Minister for Defense.
No, that's unfair.
Because he doesn't understand security. He is my brother too. Like protocol, he left PNC.
That's unfair.
Like protocol too, he left PNC, and you know. But you see, he has just exposed his lack of security. Because you don't go.
Was it that you know what? You know my conclusion. It wasn't that he was exposed. Mona, he was being brutally frank.
He also left NPP.
Mona, he was being brutally frank in stating the position.
Can I make my point? I don't know why you people are.
Just allow him to make his point.
You want to support me?
Because you said you are the elder, so when you have your kid brothers,
So you
they
have to
must
support
worry.
me.
Yeah.
You are worrying me. Don't worry. I know where to get you. So obviously, you go for a plane that anybody with money can go and charter. And then you go and take the plane and come and tell me that there is security in that plane. Jesus Christ. There is something wrong with us. And then, laughably, you were not asked a question about the president. They are just asking you the state of our presidential jet. Because the issue of the cost and other things, the question has been thrown to the Minister for Finance, not so.
Yeah.
Who is yet to come before Parliament because he had to call for a rescheduling of the answering of that question. So what is it about our Minister for Defense now veering away from talking about the state of the security of our presidential jet and now talking about luxury that our president needed to bath. He needed to perfume himself. You understand? Because you can't bath without perfuming yourself. So the president needed to bath, perfume, powder himself, and look at the mirror to see that, yes, this is me, Nana Akufo-Addo.
You are not referring to it as a spa.
No.
You are referring to it as something else.
Because, you see, you have to look into yourself in the mirror and look at yourself and touch your sakura.
But what is a spa?
You know, so president has luxury to be able to do this. That is the opulence that we see every day among our officials.
Is it wrong to make the president comfortable?
It is Barry Papik, re-echoed by Mahatma Gandhi, that said that leaders must live simply so that others might simply live. If our leaders are living such festooning life, how will we live? Because we are expected to emulate our leaders. And our president cannot sit in presidential, and now we are told that the presidential jet is too small. Making nonsense of all the gains that we have made with modesty in our leaders. It is Magufuli, late Magufuli, who went to the UN himself, his aide, that is his ADC, and the foreign affairs minister. And they all sat in economic class and went to the UN. You remember that UN?
Yeah.
Where President Akufo-Addo carried his family, his friends, and everybody, including the owner of City FM or City News. Samens, you remember? That they got to the UN and Samens...
Is he the owner or the CEO?
Well, he's the owner and CEO. Okay, the CEO. Because it's a limited company.
Yes.
So you understand? He carried all of them. They took 3 people. They still delivered the message for the United Republic of Tanzania. But we have to go there with our entire family to go. And so President Akufo-Addo went to Spain. He went to France. He came to South Africa. Benefit to the people of Ghana. Non-existent. To open Ajapa Bank. to open a Ajapa bank. Don't let me go into Ajapa. Then let me go. No, not I said to Ghana. I didn't say to the family. I didn't say to the family. So if you want to talk about the Ajapa bank that is going to be created, that will go and benefit their family.
Justifying the opulence with whatever money we will be getting.
So, no. There wasn't any, opulence that as you
will allow
15,000 euros
to make a statement.
So, in a day, you have 24 hours here, multiplied by 15,000 euros.
Is it euros or pounds?
Euros.
Okay.
Pounds. It's pounds.
Pounds,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, multiply 24 hours by 15,000 pounds. And if you want, you then break it down into Ghana cedi. Then if you decide to become Osafo Maafo, you break it down to cedis.
Or Dutch.
Then you can understand what a leadership we have in this nation. So I can tell you that it is not the case that Ghana doesn't have resources, as Akufo-Addo himself admits, that we are sitting on wealth, but our people are suffering. The reason for which we are, the reason why we are suffering is that Akufo-Addo has decided to embellish his life with niceties so that he can sit in a plane, take a bath, relax, look himself in the mirror and say that I am a handsome, short president of Africa.
Thank you so much, Emma, for your submission. We need to go.
I did say about a wedding, my brother. I've just been informed that it has been postponed.
Okay.
Because we lost one of our fathers.
Sorry.
And may his soul rest in peace. So it's been postponed next week. Junior's wedding is been pushed to next week. And
all right. So, viewers, the wedding is next week, God willing. We shall all be there. You know.
The people of Tamale really want to. I mean, you have a lot of.
I know.
You have a huge fan base in Tamale.
I'll be there. I'll be there, except that you don't want to take me.
And the book, the pushing back.
Fight back.
Fight back. Yes.
Fight back.
A lot of guys have sent me messages.
Very well.
That if I could
I
get
need to get a lot. I have a lot.
Freedom Center. They can come to
Pan Africa. Yeah.
There are lots of
No, you know they are in Tamale.
Okay. They are in Tamale.
So it's not difficult. The MP for Tamale Central is here.
Yes.
He should make available the books to his constituents. How difficult is this one?
Is that what they are calling for?
He's a foolish boy, don't man. That's what some are. I would get few for some people.
Very well.
A foolish boy.
I will let the oracles handle this particular attack.
You are a chief and went to Burkina. He went to Burkina and Mosi people. Mosi, not a Mosi people.
As far as
Mosi people beat him to Paul. Mosi. I said Mosi people. They were speaking Mosi.
I will not glorify him because where I was Moses in the minority.
No, but Moses beat you. Right. I heard him speaking Mosi. They beat you to Paul.
So
you were lying down like a baby.
Let me take a few of our messages and then we go.
This is
Ghana. When shall we learn to build from basics? Why can't we find solutions to our issues with local knowledge? We have all the resources, but greed and corruption is strangling us. We have all the qualified personnel. Why? You sent in this one from UK. Hardy from Pig Farm says, it is very pathetic how our leaders are taking us for a ride. How in the name of Allah can we spend that huge amount of money just to go and rent an aircraft? Allah save Mother Ghana. Thank you so much, Hadi, for your message. Good morning, Justice. Do we still have, is it Angus in this country? I don't really understand that anyway.
We still have anger.
Anger in this country. There is, some people are old without aging. Okay, you said ages. Okay, all right, that's all right. When we start to age, we start to be modest with scarce resources. The ages sacrifice self-comfort for magnanimity and judicious, rational use of sparse resources. I think it means scarce resources. The ages are concerned with how many people they develop for the world tomorrow. My grandmother said, old people are not so. Old people are crafty in whatever move they take. They steal your future and ask you to clap for them for getting you a breakfast. Is our president actually aging or he's old? what experience has he gathered through these years? He is supposed to be an experienced politician that was so sold out to us. Is he not the human rights lawyer we were told? The Sakawa thing might be true. Ken Zori, Isaac sent in that one. Isaac, thank you so much for your message. Good morning, Justice. I really enjoyed today's program, but tell Mr. Bernard Mona that he is my role model. Besides, that's Justice, can you imagine that in this era of technological world, people are still using manpower to construct roads? You can check this out in Jirapa municipality. There's an ongoing road project where women, young men and school children.
There are some roads that are deliberately done under what we call the GSOP routes.
Okay.
And they are supposed to be labor intensive because these days when you are doing all these things, you realize that machines come and then they rather take a little labor.
I was surprised
Yeah.
about the Balis.
We have to go.
It won't change my relationship with him. He's a fine gentleman. I mean, he will remain a brother. But I'm really, Nabil, I'm surprised. Very sharp guy.
That he has defected to
the MPP. Nothing will change. He remains my very good brother. Very sharp guy. But I'm surprised. I guess he would have influenced him because he also defected from PNC.
Why are you surprised?
When this
very sharp
happened
guy.
to me in Burkina Faso,
Anyway.
he was
Nabila
called to check
very
whether I
sharp
was
guy.
safe. And I
Very
said
sharp
yes, I
guy.
was.
Let's see how it goes.
Maybe I would have to
Somewhere.
talk him out of it.
Well, this is what time will allow us on the program, but make sure you call us for a copy of The Fight Back, a response to Anti-Nkrumah provocations. The Fight Back is 25 cedis, and you can call us on 0240748782. 0240748782. 0240748782 is the number. Call us right now to get yourself a copy. Many thanks to my cameraman, to the production crew, and everybody. This is what time will allow us on the program. My name, once again, is Justice Appiah. Goodbye.